Are all these players returning a good thing for the Ducks, or did they totally mess up all the chemistry that the Ducks were brewing? Let's get into it on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome, everydayers. I'm Kyle Carr. Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. The Ducks took it to the Bruins at home and on Wednesday evening, and then they're going against the Ottawa Senators on Thursday night, the first home and home back-to-back for the Anaheim Ducks. But first, before we get into all that stuff, let's get into whether or not the veterans coming back from injury and these players that are returning after these injuries was a good thing for this Anaheim squad or a bad thing. I've been seeing the rumblings. I've been seeing people talking about it on social media. Did the return of some of these injured players kind of start messing up the mojo that was brewing with the Ducks? Are they the reason the Ducks kind of lost the scoring spunk that they were having? They seemed to be on this tear. Just everything that they were shooting was going in, and then it just sort of died out a little bit. And looking at it, a little coincidental that as soon as these veteran players return to the lineup after being out for an injury for most of the season, if not all the season, things kind of dry up for Anaheim. And it seemed like some of the players that were kind of buzzing weren't getting the love that they were getting before. And I could see where people are going with that. There was definitely a feeling at first that, maybe we shouldn't bring these guys back. Like, this lineup, it was a solid lineup, and the kids were buzzing. The whole team was buzzing. Everyone was playing extremely well on the lines that they were playing on, and it seemed like the power play was really well working, and things were just going great for the team. Then you see these guys come back, and at first the eye test said, they seem a little slow. They seem off again. It seems like we're getting the Ducks from last year all of a sudden. And I mean, it's a little harsh on us, I think, as fans and as analysts to kind of jump down them like that after going on a 3-game skid. They are only a off season away from the last 2 performances that we've seen out of this team. Only a few players are different on this roster from the last couple of years. So to see some old habits kick in is definitely understandable, but with the way they were going, you just didn't want to see it. And then, you don't want to blame a player for bringing down the team, but there were certain players that came back and you're like, well, now there's no scoring happening. Now things are taking a minute for the Ducks to get into it, or they're not showing that oomph. And I was kind of looking at the games and watching these players play, and as much as I wanted to say, hey, like, yep, bang, look at, shouldn't have brought them back. They are the reason the Ducks went on this 3-game losing skid. The veterans coming back are slowing down this team, or they're messing with this mojo, and they're not letting things develop like they were. They lost that extra step that they had over these teams. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it was just a coincidence that the dough had to rise eventually, and things had to settle eventually, and they were up on this pedestal, kind of just blazing through teams, taking teams by surprise. But teams are going to adjust, and other teams are going to start adapting, and teams, it all kind of there's some really high teams at the beginning and some really low, and you're going to see everyone kind of start to average out and middle up. And, to expect the Ducks to win them all is definitely way, way, way too much expectation, but you love to see it. And now, like, looking at everything even more and just kind of seeing how people are frustrated that the veterans are back, or they feel like that's something that's messing with this team. I had to look at the numbers and I had to see, like, okay, are they actually causing problems? Like, are they dragging the team down? Are they building them up? Are they getting into the fight? And really looking at the numbers and looking at how things have been going for these players since coming back, it's hard to argue that they shouldn't be in this lineup or that they should not have come back. They have been playing really, really good hockey. Like, let's look at Ryan Strome, for instance. Ryan Strome, he comes back after missing the entire opening part of the season. He's now played 4 games for Anaheim. And since coming back in those 4 games, Ryan Strome has 1 goal, which he scored against the Bruins, 2 assists, 3 points total, and is a +1. His goal was a power play goal, so good to see him getting out and active on the power play. So that's adding to the power play percentage for this team. He's had 8 shots in those 4 games with a shooting percentage of 12.5%. So not a terrible shooting percentage there. And in regards to the faceoff, he has been a little bit up and down. His average right now out of those 4 games is 37.5, but he had 1 game where he was at like 70%. And then he's had a couple 30s and then like around 50%. So he's been decent enough, but overall the Ducks kind of just need to work on the faceoff as a whole. Definitely something that this team is struggling on right now is the center strength in regards to faceoffs. Um, but someone that hasn't been struggling in regards to faceoff, who also came back from an injury that kind of was of a freak accident, Jansen Harkins. He comes back. He's played 10 games since that injury. And so far, he has 2 goals, but he's racked up 36 hits, 7 block shots, and his faceoff average is 52.9% in the win column. So over 50%, he's having the puck in our possession. And I think he's playing extremely well on this 4th line. I really like the way that he plays as a center on that 4th line. He's a grinder. Him and Ross Johnston really get the body working, and they're both quick. You got Johnston with the size, Harkins with the speed and the physicality, and it's a good lethal bottom 6 setup down there. And the goal that they get tonight was just them driving down in front of the net. Puck hits Johnston. Johnston moves the puck right into the middle, and Harkins is there crashing, gets a nice, easy little, pretty much a dump in of a goal. So that's how the scoring got started against the Bruins. So he's getting things going. He's playing extremely well. And then you see Radko Gudas started the season with the team, has an injury against the actually it was the Bruins. That was the last time that he played. Goes hard into the boards in Boston and now gets to come back. It would have been kind of a full circle moment if this was his first game back against the Bruins, but he did play against Utah Mammoth. He was kind of quiet in that game. He only played 12 minutes and 52 seconds. He did get 4 hits. Nothing on the score sheet, no points, no plus, no minus, none of that. But then coming against the Bruins, kind of got some redemption. He gets a goal, has a +3 in the game. Looks like he got a fighting major. I did have to miss some of it for some work. And of course, they don't ever show fights on the highlights or anything. And didn't want to get this out too late by watching the entire game, but he did have 5 penalty minutes. So I'm assuming that he dropped the gloves with someone, but he had 5 hits on the night, 9 hits in 2 games back. Gudas bringing the energy, and his goal was an absolute clapper against the Bruins. So don't think that, these veteran guys came back and slowed this team down. they had to get into that adjustment. I think with the way Quenneville's system is, it takes a little bit to adjust, but the rhythm is back. These guys are getting going again, and they're in the winning column. 2 is a streak, and they are right now on a new streak. So good things coming out of the Bruins. My goodness, out of the Ducks. But we are going to be talking about the Bruins and Ducks coming up right after this. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rujit comes in. Rujit.com offers fast acting, doctor prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rujit makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board certified doctor, 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, and no in person appointments. If you're prescribed, your treatment gets shipped discreetly straight to your door. No awkward, head into the pharmacy. Visit rugiet.com/locked on NHL to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/locked on NHL. And don't forget to use your code locked on NHL so they know we sent you. Rugit, stop making excuses and start making moves. Before we dive into the beatdown of the Boston Bruins, I want to say thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Can't do it without our everydayer. Ducks coming in, playing a solid game against the Boston Bruins to start their first home and home back-to-back. The last game was a home game, so they are now 2-0 in their little homestead here, but this is going to be a back-to-back coming up. Wednesday against the Boston Bruins was the start of it, though, and the Ducks come away with a W. Looked like it was going to be another game heading to overtime, but Ian Moore coming up with a big game-winning goal with 3 minutes and 35 seconds left in the game. Love to see it. Ian Moore getting involved. Unfortunately, you see Pavel Mintyukov finding himself on the healthy scratch column lately with Radko Gudas coming back after his injury. But the way that Ian Moore's been playing, despite the penalty minutes, he's getting that look, and he's getting points racked up, and he's playing a very solid game. So clearly this Ducks coaching staff and the head front office, they definitely have trust and faith in Ian Moore right now. And Pavel Mintyukov is working his butt off. He's trying to get back in this lineup, and I think we're going to see him back in there soon. But Ian Moore coming away with the game-winning goal of this game. Looking at how the game broke down, the shots were in the favor of the Boston Bruins, 39 shots compared to the Ducks, 33. And later we'll kind of look, they had a ton of blocked shots as well in this game. So the Bruins, they weren't letting much come through, and they were eating them all day. And then when it comes to looking at the shots against the Ducks, 39 for Boston, and then I think the Ducks had 18 blocked shots by the Anaheim Ducks. So the Bruins were trying to fly them on Dostal as much as they could that game. They were definitely relentless when it came to trying to shoot the puck. The Ducks again find themselves in the losing column of the faceoff dot. Faceoff percentage in this one goes in the Bruins' favor with 59.6% winning by the Boston Bruins. So again, Ducks just finding themselves behind the 8 ball by not getting those faceoff wins. It does not help when you're trying to hold the lead, which we found out in this game. watching it, the Ducks having a tough time holding leads right now. There was a 2-0 lead at one point in this game, and then the Ducks give that up, end up making it a 3-1 lead, and then that gets taken away to a 3-3 game all the way down until that final game winner by Ian Moore. So Ducks need to tighten up a little bit. However, the thing that makes this a little interesting of a case is that all three of the Bruins goals were on the power play. The Bruins were 100% on the power play. All three penalties that were called were resulted in a power play goal by the Bruins. So not a good look by the penalty killers in this one for the Ducks. The Ducks did get one out of their three power play attempts. So at least they're getting something there. That was the Ryan Strome power play goal. And it's hard because, the Ducks looking good and solid when it came to 5-on-5 in this game. Uh, Bruins 21 block shots compared to the Ducks 18, but that's where you look at the with the 5-on-5 play, Dostal was covered this entire game. They were not letting a lot go through that Dostal couldn't save. He did come up with some big saves towards the end of the game, almost getting the Bruins almost got a game tying one after the Ducks got that 4-3, but there was a huge chance by the Bruins before the Ducks got that game winning goal. It was 3-3, and there's some huge chances that Dostal stopped, and couple of breakaway chances again given up, just some miscommunication or trying to do a little drop pass that just was a step behind, or guys just that little extra comfort or just, hey, I got it, or a little bit more confidence than trying to just pass it off could have prevented some of those chances. But overall, the Ducks did come up with the win, which is good. The Bruins were chucking the body too. That's the other thing. This Bruins team is kind of bringing back that old bully Boston, we're going to grind you down until you're done, and you give up because out of your will is done skis. That's kind of the Bruins right now. 38 hits compared to the Ducks 16. So massive bodies being thrown around by this Bruins team. They are not a small team right now either. I felt like this was a really good matchup. I'm not getting ahead of myself here. If the Ducks and the Bruins were in the playoffs, like if they were in the same division or conference, I feel like this would have been a good playoff preview. That's all I am saying right now. But you're seeing two teams that are very hungry and playing extremely good hockey right now. And that was kind of the game that you saw out of this one. That's all I'm saying. I'm not getting ahead of myself. Yes, I know one's in the East, one's in the West, but that's if they were in the same, I think you would see a good playoff battle between these two teams. Jansen Harkins looking good out there. I mentioned it earlier, and seeing him get that opening goal, which came off of a Ross Johnston primary assist, means that Ross Johnston officially has more points this year than he did all season last year, and we're only 20 games in right now. So just about a quarter of the way through the season, Ross Johnston surpassing his point total from last year, and now only needs 2 points to tie his career high, and then 3 points, and you've got a career year out of Ross Johnston. Things are turning around here in Orange Country, all right? I am stoked for the way things are going for this team. Mason McTavish getting 2 assists after getting basically called out by Coach Q. Doesn't waste a second. He even had a goal at one point, but it did get called back. Unfortunately, they called him for goalie interference. A little soft in my eyes, but he was in the paint, got in the way, and that kind of led him to being out of position so he could get the back door. But hey, things happen. Leo's Carlson finally gets a point again after having a little dry spell, so he's back on the score sheet. He got an assist on that Ian Moore goal. Ryan Strome gets his first goal of the season on the power play. Radko Gudas gets a massive clapper. Dostal making 36 saves and a save percentage of 0.923%. The Ducks are now third in the league with 27 points and second in goals scored. They are also in the lead in the Pacific Division, 3 points ahead of Vegas and LA. Vegas has a game in hand. LA has the same amount of games played. So Ducks have a pretty decent lead right now in the Pacific Division. So we'll see how things go with this quick turnover to play Ottawa, and we'll get into what that's going to look like right after this. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's pushing or making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to fanduel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And now the Ducks are going to be taking on the Ottawa Senators on Thursday at the Honda Center. Kind of a interesting game to have for the Ducks in their first home and home back to back. Ottawa right now, 19 games played, 9 wins, 6 losses, and 4 overtime losses. That gives them 22 points on the season so far. They are currently 13th in scoring with 62 goals for. So Ducks right now, like I said earlier, they're in second in scoring with 73 goals scored for them. So a little disparity in the goal count there. Uh, Ottawa, though, they are 24th in goals against with 65, and the Ducks are 19th with 63. So a lot of teams kind of in that traffic jam between 63 against and 65 against. So not too much of a difference there. 21st in goal differential with -3. That is Ottawa. The Anaheim Ducks are 6th with a differential of 10. So Ducks are outscoring their opponents by 10. Ottawa getting outscored by 3 goals. Ottawa is currently 11th in their power play percentage. So they are up there in the top of the league, 23.3%. They are, though, 31st in their PK percentage. That means only one team is worse at killing penalties than the Ottawa Senators. Ottawa, 67.9%. Woo, tough PK percentage for them. Anaheim definitely needs to take advantage of that. If they can get some penalties drawn on the Senators and then light them up, this could be a special teams victory for the boys. We'll get into the goaltending too. So the Ducks just really need to put some accurate, good shots on net tomorrow or Thursday if you are listening to this on Thursday. Looking at some other numbers for the Senators, they are 24th in shots per game in the league, so 26.58. Anaheim producing just over 30. The Senators are 5th in shot percentage. They score when they shoot. That is the thing. 5th in the league. So they are the 5th most accurate team when it comes to shots on goal. So that is something Ducks need to be aware of. And it looks like it's going to be Peter Mrazek in net. So they got to stand tall in front of Peter. He has been playing great the last couple of starts he's had. So nothing against Mrazek whatsoever. I think he's gotten himself locked up, but it all stems from having good defense in front of him, and that's going to just give that Ducks that much more breathing room. Ottawa is keeping a lot of shots away from their goaltender, only allowing 25.37 shots against on average. They are pretty much in the top 10 of the league right now when it comes to keeping shots away from being on net. The team leader right now for points for Ottawa, Tim Stützle, 19 points, followed by Drake Batherson with 18 and Shane Pinto with 15. Stützle also leads the team in goals with 10, followed by Pinto with 9 and Dylan Cousins with 7. So not too many guys lighting the lamp right now on this team. They are kind of dealing with some injuries. They currently have Brady Tkachuk out for thumb injury. Thomas Chabot, Ole Lixel, and Lars Eller are out for injury as well. Looking at the goaltending, Linus Ullmark, not the same goaltender we saw a few years ago, who was leading teams deep into the playoffs. 15 games played with 6 wins, 5 losses, and 4 overtime losses. He has an 8.74 save percentage and 3.08 goals against. Kind of get lit up out there in Ottawa is Linus Ullmark. Kind of reminds me of the Buffalo Sabres Ullmark that we saw before becoming a Boston Bruin. So Levi Merilainen has played 4 games. If I am not saying that right, I am totally wrong. I am so sorry. Levi Merilainen, 4 games, 3-1 and 0, 8.68 save percentage, and 3.53 goals against. So some leaky goaltenders in Ottawa right now. And then those injuries definitely not helping. So the Ducks got to take advantage. They are going to be a little bit more on the gas side of things, as they did just play a pretty heavy game against the Boston Bruins. But if they come in, play smart heads up hockey, they don't need to go crazy trying to, play a 1-for-1 type style game. I think if they can have some confidence in their cycle game, get it set up, and really just get some good, accurate shots and get those lanes clogged up, they're going to have some success against the Ottawa Senators. So this will definitely be a little bit of a challenge because it's another team that the Ducks have every right to win this game. However, you got to respect your opponent in this league. It's the NHL. No game is going to be an easy, free game. And this could be one of those teams that, although on paper and how the cards are stacked up, it looks like they could come away easily with the win. Ottawa could come and just blitzkrieg the Ducks. So Ducks need to be on top of it. They need to have their heads on a swivel. They need to be playing a good, smart game and just bring the heat in the offensive zone. Bring that heat. They've got the leaky goaltender. But they've got accurate shots when they're getting down on their end. So watch the defensive end. Make sure you're not leaving guys open. Clog up the lanes on the defense, but then get up in the face on the offense. Have fun. Play some hard hockey. Let's go. This is definitely a team that's going to be a physical team as well. So that's another thing the Ducks need to be aware of. They've got two big teams that they're plowing through right now, and I see them coming up with the win, but it's going to be a tight one again. I think this is going to be a fight to the finish, and we'll hopefully see some solid Ducks W's coming out of this one. But for now, we have to wait until tomorrow. Thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, go like and subscribe to the Locked On Anaheim Ducks YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts as well. Check us out. Get involved on social media, X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, whatever it is that you do. We're there. Come hang out. And as always, I'm Kyle Carr. Be good out there.